All right, we're
Okay.
doing it again. Awestruck Comics podcast. We're on a roll. Got lots of things posted. We're getting on all the socials. We're working on the socials. So I have an Instagram up. I just published to Spotify. I have to read backwards published to Apple's, trying to have all the episodes on there. I know some
In case you
people
don't want
like
to look at
to
us, you just want to hear
yeah,
us. You know
correct.
what? I agree with you if that's the path you want to take.
I agree. We want to eventually do like a video component. So maybe you would want to watch because then we could put up better art than us in our two mugs here. So um
So it is
so,
Thanksgiving week,
yeah.
2024, and let's talk about what's up.
News of the week. News pretty good. Crazy news week. Usually this is a bad comic week. Is that typically the case?
No,
No?
it's not. Typically, we've
The
had
fifth week?
incredible. When we used to run the store, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving was a good week
Hmm.
because kids had all weekend to pick up their stuff, go to the mall. It's Black Friday. Like, why wouldn't you put a bunch of cool stuff out? At the very least, you put out good collections.
Oh, okay. Right.
Common, that's what I think.
Yeah, I mean, well, now it's like I'm thinking about, because my daughter's asking what I want for Christmas. I'm like, I'll buy stuff, I'll give it to you, and then you wrap it, and then give it to me. So like did you have anything on your Christmas list that you're thinking about? Like any book? You're so buy something. I only buy stuff for myself because I put everything on my Apple Card and then it goes into Apple Cash. And I
Right.
feel guilty if I spend anything because my kids are in college and I'm just trying to get everything fixed. But the only way that I like to spend money is if it comes out of that because I pay all my bills with it. I pay as much as I can with it. Can't pay the mortgage with it, unfortunately. We already talked about that. Well, that would be great because that would be a huge 2-3%, whatever. But
You know, you know what I did buy? Eternia does these mini masters, right? Look at this little thing. It's a little He-Man on the dragster.
oh yeah. Oh wow.
And I also
That's
got
new.
newer. I also got little Fistor on Stridor,
All right, so I guess you do buy stuff. I'm
which
so specific
which is
about
cooler
things.
than the original, I think. I don't know, just something neat about it.
Oh, it almost looks like a chibi version. It looks like a
Yeah, it's almost like
Japanese
a
like
yes.
anthropomorphized version. That's funny. Is that
Yeah,
your
these are
original? Is that your original Fistor?
no, I was too poor to have him as a kid. As a kid, I wanted him badly, but we didn't get him. But my grandma found the toy with no chest plate. So like at a yard sale, we were like
Oh, okay.
yard sale family.
Right,
So
right,
like I
right.
always got a lot of stuff secondhand. No, that's stuff that I bought later. I also got Little Merman.
Who made that? Eternia? What is
Yeah,
that?
these are straight up Mattel toys.
Oh wow. Okay.
They're called minis.
Hmm.
They're really neat.
How much
Um,
are they? Like $5?
yeah, like
Six
$5.
bucks?
And I'm so hardcore. Like before He-Man came out, you had Black Star,
Oh yeah.
and
You love that
the
Black
the
Star.
rights to Black Star are really mired. And I met this guy who 3D prints his own minis, and he has a 3D printed Black Star that looks just like these. I'm like, do it. But he's got a whole line of 3D like bootleg Superman, Thundercats.
Oh, okay.
He just 3D prints
Right,
his own
right,
stuff of every other copyright infringed character.
right. Copyright infringement.
Yes.
That's about right. Well, that's everything. That's everything. That's in the news a little bit too this week. This week is a
It's funny because I've seen because people used to make custom pops. They don't make a pop of your own particular thing. Get it custom made. Do you remember Bill Grover worked at Hall of Heroes, the comic store?
Mhm.
Um, he got a mold to a Bart Simpson porcelain figure, and he just would make 1,000 customs of him as Superboy, Spider Man. You know
Oh,
what I
that's
mean?
right.
Like
I do vaguely remember that.
we
Yeah.
had one in the store. I forget what we had. He even made Spider Boy, the amalgam character, which I was this tempted to get, but you know,
That's before that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, we did have one in the store.
yeah, yeah. You name it. He made a 3D custom. He had that mold. I don't know where he got it from.
That's awesome. That's sorry, my cat's I'm trying to make sure my cat doesn't knock
Yeah.
my
This
water over.
if your cat doesn't visit this show, then it's not a real show. It's like a good luck charm.
I know even on the intro last week when I talked about the green screen falling, like my cat like stuck his head into the intro. I was like, oh my God. So But yeah, so the biggest news of the week was just kind of it's a rumor. I think this is the biggest news anyway. I think that the Dan Slott on Superman is the biggest news, and I imagine it's action because Superman is Williamson Mora, and that's kind of their premiere. Um,
This is neat because Dan Slott has not written for DC since the Arkham Asylum miniseries he did,
hmm,
which was at least 20 years ago,
I think it's
right?
2001. I want to say, yeah.
We had which had awesome Eric Powell covers, which is actually the reason I bought it because I was really into the Goon. So I bought
Hmm.
it for the Eric Powell covers, and what did you say? Ryan Sook drew it, right?
Yeah, yeah, and it kind of focused on like Egghead. Like it focused on it wasn't about the mainline Arkham people that you would
Correct.
see.
Yes,
And
they were
I just remember
creating.
being really good, you
They
know.
they took a normal dude who was in there for something petty, not petty, but like some white collar crime. And by the end of it, they turn him into like a villain, like a rogue. Like he becomes like Great White or something, you know.
Mhm.
Maybe his teeth get busted out and he gets like sharp teeth, or his ears get cut off
That's
so he
been
looks like, you know what I
forever.
mean?
Yeah,
It was
I
it
should
was
go back and read it. I
it
guess
was
it's on
good.
DC app. I think I
And
should
that
look.
miniseries was so good, Marvel signed him exclusive. They're like, yeah, we can't afford to lose this guy. Like I think he was batting around Marvel for years. Like he wrote the Ren and Stimpy comics, I think, back in the '90s.
Mhm.
He wrote some. I remember him writing a Captain Universe story. Like a Dan Slott was always associated Marvel in the '90s, disappeared, I think, during the event bankruptcy era, and then worked his way back, and has been there ever since.
He did some Superman adventures. I just remember his name always being in like the Marvel Super Special, Summer
Oh yeah,
Special,
well, yeah, the
like
Superman
all
Adventures because
that
that
stuff.
happened. Those books came out during the Marvel bankruptcy, so that checks. Like he went
Okay.
from Marvel to DC.
Right, right. I think he did Scooby Doo. Yeah, I want to say he did like cartoony books, like it was basically that Superman Adventures was the cartoon book, you know. So never wrote Superman proper. But same
Yep,
thing with Millar. Millar was
Miller.
yeah, Mark Millar. I'm doing Millar. Sorry, that's
Same,
it.
same,
I
Millard.
can't do
It's
it.
fine.
Um,
He doesn't take offense.
no. So
He, he,
there was a lot of, but see, it's so weird. The backlash. There was a lot of backlash this week. Like, what don't you listen? He's had more good than bad. So I don't know. I feel like there was a lot of backlash on it. I don't
sure,
know.
I love his
I
Amazing
would want
Spider-Man
it.
run. He did a better job of not making them stupid. He liked to bring in like Peter Parker does two things good, something crappy happens. Or like I
Mhm.
think he liked the rule of thumb of like if everything's going good for Peter Parker, everything sucks for Spider-Man. And things are going great for Spider-Man, Peter Parker
Mhm.
having shit luck. Like I'm like, all right, I can see that. Like, I guess there
Exactly.
doesn't have to be character growth. He could just but then if there was
Well,
too much character growth, you wouldn't have a Spider-Man around for 60 years.
yeah, exactly. Was that Quesada's reign that he was allowed to basically kill him, kill Peter Parker, basically,
Oh,
and then
during
Superior
is that
Spider-Man?
698? Right? Wasn't it 698? Because I think he wanted like this is the best thing since Amazing Spider-Man 298. Like he was pumping it up like,
Right, right.
you
I don't
know.
know. I might have been 490. I don't remember. But wasn't a situation like where I don't know. I feel like that was pretty ballsy for a Marvel to be like, okay, we're gonna take out like Peter Parker concept completely and then have this different Spider-Man, Superior Spider-Man.
Yeah. And in typical fan fashion, everybody hated it, dropped the book, came back to check it out because, that's who we are. And then they end up loving it. And then when they bring back Peter Parker, they're like, no, we like the sociopath Octavius.
Yeah, yeah.
They did it. They did it with Spider Clone, Ben Riley. Everyone hated Ben Riley. Then they love him.
Well,
It's just,
this week I picked up a bunch of Asbats. I picked up some Batman
although
500, 501.
in hindsight, nobody was sad to see Hydra Cap go.
No, no. I think, a lot of people wanted Ben Riley gone, but then there's a whole faction now with Chasm and Scarlet Spider, like
That's
that's
not,
been going on.
that doesn't feel like Ben Riley, though. That's not the Ben Riley who died.
No, that's right. Right. No, I know. Yeah.
They made something different out of that. I think they made him different so we wouldn't like him anymore. I guess strong move.
Yeah. I did like him, but that was kind of the thing. That was Jurgens kept getting told what to do and he quit, right? Because
Yeah,
he
he
launched
did.
Sensational.
Yeah, he did it for like 6 issues, maybe 7 with issue 0. But then you got what Todd DeZago and Ringo, and that's a good
I never see that out in the wild. I never see the hologram cover. I should
no.
get that hologram cover. No. No, there's some stuff I feel like I never see out in the wild. So, but we'll see. I mean, everything comes around. I got some stuff this week that surprised me that, we'll get into
Good.
2 shows from now.
So
So But yeah,
Dan
so
Slott
we're pro
writing
Dan Slott.
Superman. We are. I'm curious to see what he would do with it. You know, he's always a solid writer. Like I really liked his Mighty Avengers run and his right Mighty Avengers and his
Mhm.
Avengers Academy. That book was really good. Like people forget about that.
Yeah, Avengers Academy was and that was Stefano Caselli, I want to say, drew that
Yeah,
too. It was like maybe even McCone, Mike McCone. Ooh. Mike
yeah.
McCone doesn't do anything. I think he makes a lot of money at conventions. He doesn't do sequentials. He hasn't done sequentials in years.
No,
That would be a good fit.
yeah.
I think that would be great.
McCone Superman.
Yeah.
Hey, you remember the book Vexed by was it Giffen?
Next. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
No,
Yeah.
Vexed, VEXT.
Vex. That's right. Yeah, yeah. Yep.
The best cover is the cover with like the rotten burger he's about to take a bite into, and it's just this ridiculous amount of detail amongst the spoiled
Yeah.
meat.
Well,
That book was
McCone surprised me when he drew his Spider-Man was really good. Like, it was shockingly good, and that was like right around the time when it was Kitson, and Kitson was what you'd expect. It was
mm,
fine.
yeah,
So but you had a pretty good mix there. I think you had a Lee Weeks pop in. You had Bacalo around that time was all the Brand New Day,
Pacello.
One More Day, Bacalo, Bacalo. But yeah, I'm curious to see it. So I mean, it's I want him away from Marvel because I feel like they do is they're like just keep doing some Spider Reversery thing over here and it's not very good. And like the whatever the most recent crossover was, and then I don't care about Spider Boy. I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm an old man. No dice. I can't do
He's okay.
it.
He's okay.
So the thing that's in the second news slot, my favorite book last year was Dawn Runner, which was the Ram V Evan Cagle, which you so have to read. Really weird though, because Ram V did a people don't like the detective run. I actually like the detective run. It got better, got different throughout, but I think it ended great. But Ram V's covers for detective were all Evan Cagle. I never saw this guy before. And then he drew a different style when he did Dawn Runner, which is basically like Pacific Rim, a little different. Not it's
Right.
still kaiju and getting in a giant Dawn Runner is literally, but you're going in other people's conscious, you're time travel. It's a lot of stuff. Anyway, it's fantastic and it's beautiful. But I have yet to see an Evan Keel cover besides some concept art. I think it's really weird. They show you they have a 3-page preview, lettered, looks gorgeous, and you have a couple other people drawing the covers, and I'm like, what? Including Pete Woods. Pete Woods is drawing the covers, and also good, but I'm just like, you're not gonna get this guy on the cover? Like, are you like what? Just very very odd to me. But that is, I want to say January. I think that's close. When it was announced as ongoing. Now it's 12. And then the other article I read about it
Oh, what,
basically
New Gods?
states, yeah, 12.
Oh, it's only 12?
Yep, that's fine. Good.
Or is that 12 maybe?
I don't know. Just 12 it. 12 it. Um,
Yeah. It's hard to commit to ongoing with New Gods.
well, I mean, Green Arrow was supposed to be like 6 or 8, and then it went to 12, and then like they gave I think Williamson another run, so then I went to 18, and now it just keeps going. So yeah, we don't know, but I do 11, do what the original new, just do an 11. I
That's
know
fun.
12 is but I just hope, and DC has a weird tendency of this, and I hate it when this with a lot of Tom King stuff where they have the 6-issue trades, the 6-issue volume 1, 2, then they do like an extra collected later. Just wait, just do 12, just do the 12 collection. I guess that they make money along the way. I always hated when it was a retailer too, because then we would be stuck with like just volume 6 of something, and we're like, okay, and then volume 1 to 5 are completely out of print. So,
Yeah.
but there was something in here that stated that it may veer more into the absolute universe than the regular all in, whatever they're calling it. I
Well,
don't know.
with the new DC universe, they Darkseid is a singularity. So if Darkseid is a singularity, then so would the rest of the New Gods.
Mm,
So that's perfectly possible that they are
the only new
the
gods.
yeah the absolute the only New Gods.
Hmm.
It's hard to make a singularity out of something that's already been through the multiverse. So it's
Right,
like
right, right.
it's hard to retro combat.
Yeah, I like the Orion design. I think the helmet's fantastic. I just think it looks great. It just looks great. That's why soon we should have a video component so we can actually go look over that. Look over there.
Look at that.
So next week we'll get it. We're getting little bits and pieces. We figured out the audio, we figured out the video, So, but Free Comic Book Day, there's a ton of stuff, a ton of stuff. I think that this is now getting in a space where I feel like when it first started, like they didn't know what to do. A lot of times they even they experimented with size. Remember when Marvel had like a real short, they had like almost like a digest shorter size for like Hulk, or I'm sorry, it was Iron Man and Thor. It was like small, JRJR, and I'm like, what is this? But I feel like there's so many. I forget how exactly it was like 60 something. I just kind of cut and paste some of them here. And this I really hope is something that Marvel's going to do. And I guess they're doing it already with Abrams, but the book that I saw, it was like a Dominic Fortune cover. It was a Dominic and where Dominic Fortune's going like this. He has two girls flanking him side by side. And
In
it's
typical Chaykin
yeah, he's
way.
got the high boots. It's the same characters. It's Cody Starbuck. It's Dominic Fortune. Like he did the same
It's
Scorpion.
Scorpion.
Yeah, he did the same exact character 3 to 4 times in like a 3 year period. But Dominic Fortune kind of stayed in Marvel for a while and team ups and just kind of popped up here and there. But it says Lost Marvels, Fantagraphic books, a previous sampler of Fantagraphics' new Lost Marvel series of rarely collect. So this is a really good situation. Rarely or never collect 1970s Marvel comics because there's stuff over there's magazines, there's like Premiere, there's a ton of stuff. So they mention Neil Adams, who did mainly the magazine stuff.
Yeah.
Chaykin, Tom Sutton, Roy Thomas, Barry Windsor Smith. And then it says and from the pages of Marvel Classics like Tower of Shadows or Marvel Premiere. There you go, Marvel Premiere. So that's really good because again, if Marvel doesn't want to publish it, they just deem that they don't want to publish it. They don't. It's not worth their while. Great, just license it. Just get rid of it. Still make money on it. You know what I mean? Like go ahead. Like go do that. Um, like doing those replica editions of the Stan Lee Origins of Marvel Comics. Okay,
Right.
yeah, someone's going to want that. That's fine. And then they have extra essays. So I don't want that book, but like but yeah, just give it out. Just give it out. That's what I think would be great. Um, Next, I got I'm wearing it. So they're redoing a little bit of the guy. Listen, IDW has done. It's kind of like almost an accident how much like Godzilla continuity there is and is not because of how goofy some movies are, how very serious some movies are. The comics are doing the same thing. This week, Skater Die came out, which is I don't care about like four skater kids, but I do. In this was like number 5, and it was really good. And I'm like, oh man, like what the heck? So like they're doing a really good job of having like on the ground people, and kind of doing something with it. So here they're doing a couple things. So they're doing the new heroes where they're going to go into like a G-force situation. They're going to go into there was something here where they're going to have a half kaiju, half human. Like this sounds
What?
crazy. Yeah,
That's
this
literally what
stuff.
they told Tom Scioli not to do.
No, it's right here. Yeah.
Uh,
It says Godzilla comic. It says each of these books is a fresh. Maybe they will tell him that maybe he's doing it. It says each of these books is a fresh exploration. It's a 10-page IDW New Heroes, but then it says each of these books there's going to be multiple. What Godzilla from a group of mercenaries that fly through space in Mecha Godzilla, like Voltron,
right.
to a strange wasteland inhabited by half kaiju, half human uh, freaks to a bold superhero take on G-Force. New and then it says a new era new era of Godzilla starts here. Rating mature. So I don't know.
It's a
Maybe
lot
that's
of
wrong.
it's Godzilla dong. Yo, how do you think
Yeah,
that half kaiju, half human freak was made? You
I
don't want
don't
to know,
know. No, I don't know.
but
So
you're
I
gonna
don't
find
know.
out. You're gonna
Yeah, so
find out.
Mad Cave's staying kind of in licensing. Mad Cave announced Phantom Zero, which had a really cool looking cover. They didn't announce the artist on it.
No,
Ray Fox is listed as the writer.
I mean that makes sense. If you have Flash Gordon, you might as well have Phantom, and
Just
I
have
guess I
yeah.
guess Mandrake will be next.
I don't know. They might be able to do a one shot Mandrake. I'm not sure if that's going to support, man.
Put him in
Paper
fishnets.
costs.
That works.
Right. That does work. Yeah. Speed Racer, the cover of the Speed Racer is Chris Batista, which he's doing his Battle of the Planet style. That's written by David Pepos and Mark Russell. Okay, that's interesting. and it doesn't really say it doesn't really get into like what it is going to be. But if Mark Russell drives a backup tail, which leads directly into a Racer X spin-off series. So I didn't even read that. So okay. So David Pepos doing the main, Mark Russell doing a Racer X. Look, if they do it the same way that they publish like the Flash Gordon and Flash Gordon Quarterly, and these publishing guidelines that are coming out of here, and that's again same thing going right into Conan. That's exactly what I was wanted to talk about. Was that they set up the Conan story since the free first comic book day had some
Right.
black, so had the Blackstone in, and then this is Scourge of the Serpent. So I mean, they're just Titans just killing it like it's crazy. So I don't remember who Ivan Gill is. I want to say Ivan Gill is drawing this. Jim Zub's writing it because Jim Zub has like a 5-year contract. And then this week, if you did see it, I don't have it in the news, but Patch Zercher's been doing Solomon Kane inside of Savage Sword of Conan, but he's getting his own series, probably a mini series. I don't think Solomon Kane ever can successfully do a series. I feel like
No,
he's only
no, you're
ever had
probably
six
Conan
issues.
is lucky to have a series sometimes. You
Right,
know,
right. Yeah. So they're doing it. They're doing it again. Roberto Del Toro cover, probably Bill Rubio on colors on the cover. But yeah, so the Serpent God's influence, Titans, Squirrels, and Hyborian age, and every other age linked to it. So they're still probably figuring out a way to put all the characters in because Cull's not in here yet, but I believe Cull's supposed to come in soon. He was not. People were asking Zub recently in an interview, like, why isn't Cull in the series? He's like, I got plans. Don't worry about it. I got plans for it. You think I don't have plans for it? Like so. I mean, he kind of answered like slyly. He's like, you think I don't have this mapped out? This is like my gig. So it's just fine. It's
good.
great.
It's great when
Um,
you're that obsessed with a character to be able to write it. Like
it
that's an
is
honor. That's And you know what? And it seems like he's writing the book in a way that's not bogging it down with every fan idea he's ever had. And if he does
no,
put every fan idea he's ever had, he's still telling a good story first. Like that's how you got to do it.
yeah. I think that
Do
I
it. That's how
know
you do it.
do it, do it,
Just
do it.
do it.
I know that he is like yeah. I know his like branching plan that he has, but I do think that there's such freedom there to kind of do that. But it's also like I was talking to I talked to Dennis at Heroes in Mount Holly a couple weeks ago, and he was talking about the Conan sales, and we were talking about it because he's reading. He's like, "Yeah, it's so good," and I said, "Yeah, but it's this is." Have you ever remembered when they? I guess there really isn't one, but the same writer never goes to the next book, never. So the fact that they asked him, like that they asked Jim Zub to like audition to be the writer of Conan, he was already the writer of Conan for a year, basically.
That's true. I mean,
It's not common. It's not a common
when
thing.
it comes to licensing deals, that's very true. I mean, you haven't seen any of the IDW guys do anything for the Skybound guys for
No,
Transformers or GI Joe,
none of them.
and none of the
Not
Devil's
even
Due guy.
variants or nothing.
No,
Right.
one maybe. I think
Right.
Alex Milne did a variant,
Okay.
or Andrew Griffin, one of the main guys. But like that's it. Just and it might have even been a store variant. I'm not positive.
Mhm. Yeah,
So,
I
but
don't
you're
know.
right.
It's
When it
it's
comes to licensing, this is a rarity.
and then they double down. They go to him and they're like, we want to have a talk with you. And then they put him into like a multi-year contract. It's like, can you do this for a while? We want to commit you down. They want to like, and it's like
But
that's not a thing either.
he hasn't done anything else since then.
No.
Like, was that the last thing he did for Marvel? Because he was writing for Marvel, but I don't think anything he was writing at Marvel took off.
Yeah, he wrote.
You
I
know,
think he wrote. He might have wrote one of the runs of Savage Avengers with Conan, but none of the runs of Savage Avengers were any good. Really, I didn't really like any of them. And that
they
was
were okay. Well, yeah, Jerry
Duggan
Dugan.
and Peebles. Yeah, I don't remember. I feel like Jim Zub should have had a run in there, but I feel like they had 2 or 3 runs, and none of them were very good.
He
And then I
liked this
want.
Thunderbolts. Was it Thunderbolts? Is he
I
doing
think that's right.
Thunderbolts?
Yeah, I think that's he had a lot of people in and out of Thunderbolt. They're reprinting some Thunderbolt stuff now before the movie. So some of his concepts are maybe in the movies. He used Ghost a lot, so I feel like that's going to be interesting. They're doing a
Yeah.
series now, which I think is kind of dumb. They're doing a series that they're going to have at the trade before the movie, but it's old Thunderbolts versus like the newer movie Thunderbolts, and I'm like, who cares?
They're
Like,
not really movie. They're not movie Thunderbolts. Isn't really Thunderbolts.
no.
It's like forcing together a team. Like,
Well, I feel like we're only ever going to hear the word Thunderbolts once in that movie. We already saw it in the trailer. I feel like they're just going to,
so
you know,
that's the joke tagline. Like,
that's it. That was it. Yeah, I feel like they're going to flip it to Dark Avengers, but
you know, speaking of reprints, how far has Marvel, Dark Horse, or even now Titan, how far have they gotten reprinting Conan? Like up to what number? Because that nobody's yet to reprint the entire series, correct?
that's right. Yeah, the Epic Collection. Oh, no, I'm sorry. So, and it's a bad situation. So, Dark Horse, I want to say their books were maybe I think 15 to 17.99. It wasn't 14, I remember, because it was Chronicles of Conan. They had 4 or 5 issues in there. They recolored it with like Snow Cone. Who's that sound right? Snow Cone Studios. No, Snow Cone lettered it. So whatever art that they had. So here's the thing, because I'm kind of rereading those. Uh, I'm just kind of like scanning through because I have some other I want to get them all paper eventually. But here's the problem: the paper ones are on old paper, and what happens is the blacks just kind of start to fade away, especially with like the early 80s where they were just paying hardly anything. So
Right.
you can't see the art very well. You can't see John Buscema's like art unless it's, Ernie Chan or Ernie Chan's thinking with his elbow. Ernie Chan's gonna be heavy.
What do you think?
Uh
Marvel lost the
Rudy
film?
Never's gonna be heavy. Something's wrong with I would say the first this it's like 31 volumes, 31 to 34 volumes. So the entire Conan, to answer the question, is that the entire Conan run is in print through Dark Horse, or was anyway. But the problem is the first 8 volumes, no covers, zero
Ugh.
covers, all recolored. When it hits to volume 7 or 8 or 9, the letters they don't have the film for the lettering or something. So they have someone re-letter it. They have Snow Cone Studios, which then they re-letter it in different, either in close to the same spots, but it's a newer font and it's like italics, and I hate it. I hate it. The best situation, and that's what Conan's doing. The Starking's, I think it's Troy Patiri in Starking's studio. He's doing a Joe Rosen esque font on this store,
All right.
and you'll see when you haven't read anything yet.
Of Titan, no.
Dude, I'm so jealous of you because that's so fun. But like, it's you'll see.
I will
You,
refuse to read
you
it.
will
Actually,
you
now.
will have like every time the first page, just because it's like the same bold block lettering coming down in the same corner box, like with like boom Roy Thomas, like it just goes through. Even nicknames. So it's like Jim Hubs, like it's like they'll have nicknames on everybody too, like in classic Marvel fashion. It's just good. So to answer your question, yes, but then I would want to say that right around 16 or 17, and this is why I don't like it because it's very inconsistent. Then they started printing the covers, but then they started whiting out like everything but the number. I put the number big, and then after that, towards the end, they just scanned a cover, right? And they didn't, and they kind of flattened those colors. Maybe they had that film, so everything technically is in print, but it's
Trough. All right, I get it.
yeah. So
It's
I'm
it's that's just
but
costly to
but
do.
even in the omnibus original Marvel years never went that far. So that's what everyone's excited about. Is that Savage Sword of Conan? Maybe because they had that film was easier to do. They have an entire Savage Sword of Conan. I want to say that's like 12 omnibus. Omnibus, is that how you say that? But Conan's only ever been 4. Marvel, when they did the Epic collections, which they're doing for ROM and I guess Micronauts too, which I might want those more than the Romnibuses. I
Well, the
might want
well,
that.
the Savage Sword of Conan, that's all black and white, right? That's
Yeah,
it
that's
could just
probably
be
easier to
scanned in the
print.
magazine. I mean, I've seen other
And then,
people
well, I
scan
have
black and white
I have
comics.
that I have that what do we call it, on the high seas file. So I have an on the high seas file where some guy, God bless his soul, went to every Savage Sword of Conan. I sent you the Robert E. Brown one last week,
Mm-hmm.
where he just scanned it and then just
Robert E. Brown, for
photoshopped it.
those, is an artist in the '90s who drew a lot like McFarlane. Super
Yeah,
inspired.
yeah,
He
yeah,
drew
yeah.
a 2-issue Iron Fist series. He drew
And
uh,
Humans one shot
in Humans One Shot. He drew Marvel Fanfare Volume 2,
and Over the Edge.
Over the Edge. It was neat.
He has like 10 credits. He
At
had
Marvel.
yeah,
Outside of Marvel, he drew a bunch of like Megadeth comics and Insane
right.
Clown Posse. Like, was that? I think they were for Chaos, weren't they? Were they
Yeah,
for Chaos?
ICP. Yep. ICP, we sold a lot of that at the store, man. ICP, we had the Juggalos come in.
That's right. Spend that money.
It was at least 25 a month. And remember, at that time, they were like 7 or 8.99 because it came with a CD with an
Yeah,
exclusive
came with the
single.
CD.
So that's pretty smart. And guess what? Zero in the wild. I've never seen one in the wild. Zero.
That's
I saw a
because
comic that Ian published. Ian and Ron
Ian Harker, our friend,
yeah,
is a self publisher. At least he was.
yeah.
But before he got good at his job, he did two really crappy comics.
The Living Nightmare.
Living Nightmare, and the
Yeah,
other one was it Spellbinding Sagas, Tales from Beyond Time.
yeah.
They're fun.
Yeah.
They're fun
With a
books to
foil
read them.
cover. But yeah, Living Nightmare, which is an EC take.
Right.
Um, I found that but I had one, so I was like, oh, it's in the wild, So it's kind of just fun. I always take a picture if I see something in the wild and send it. Um, I, and then I know that Zach always says like you need to find the rare copy of Jersey Devil that's not
Not
signed.
signed.
That's
Yes.
not signed. It's very difficult. It's very, very, very difficult.
At
So
our South Jersey store where we all hung out, this guy Tony Z Girolamo self-published a comic called Jersey Devil. And it had nothing to do with the actual Jersey Devil.
it was
And
like a Spawn looking design a little bit
yeah,
too. Yeah.
he was a nice guy. But he annoyed people because he would go to conventions and have a bullhorn, and he would always be like, "Everyone, come check out Jersey Devil comics." He'd sit outside of our store at the mall and be like, "Hey, everyone, come check it out."
Security would come up and be like, you're not allowed to do that as a noise ordinance. Like they
Yeah.
would tell us to not do that. Yeah. So it
Now,
was always the contention.
Tony D, that's what we called him for short, instead of saying that D. Girolamo, he did write some Simpsons backup stories for Bongo.
Oh, I didn't know that. Well,
Yeah.
okay.
So that was his big claim to fame.
There was a book recently I think he did pretty well on. I saw him a couple cons ago at a Philly con. He has so many books now. It's kind of nuts. Like his table's like tons of
Ton
stuff.
of stuff because nothing sells. He
Just
did this
print it,
book
man.
was like Rodney the pot smoking alien, which is like a gray alien ash
Oh yeah.
can, like I'm like, okay, do it,
Okay.
dude. I don't think he actually smoked pot,
I don't think so.
which is like a I guess you don't have to write about what you don't know, I guess, which is
Yeah, you
fine.
should write what you know though. We know all about, I guess we
You don't
also
want to
write
fall
what
into
we don't
trope.
know.
You don't want to fall into tropes.
Mm.
You know, I don't smoke, so I'll probably never write a character that smokes. Just like, yeah, I don't care.
Yeah.
Not relevant to the story.
Right. I downloaded some of them, but I haven't read them yet. Have you read any of the most recent Star Wars thing, like the Battle of Jakku or whatever? Have you
Yes,
read any of that stuff?
yeah,
Is that any good? It's a,
it's okay. I'm so interested at a time that I read it, and nothing really sticks out at me. It's the remnants of the Empire. Still thinking the Empire's going. Like maybe they just heard that the Emperor's dead,
mm,
but they're still like, just because you kill the leader, if something were to happen to Putin, you're still gonna have Russian forces in Ukraine. You know what I mean? There's just because the lead guy gets killed, that doesn't stop all the people who financially or who people don't want to give up their power. People don't want to
mm,
give up their source of income. So it's a very realistic take. Like ideally, the end of Return of the Jedi is fake. It's not how everyone's not going to have a big party just because your leader's dead.
mm.
You know, I always make fun of the point when it goes to the Gungans and they're like, "We are free." I'm like, "Were
Right.
you enslaved? You like live under the water. There's not like a
Yeah, there's
emperor."
no one was messing with you.
It's I
No.
don't even think his planet. I don't
Right.
even think. I forgot the name of their planet. Um,
Naboo.
Naboo was that? I think he left Naboo alone, right? Because that was his home world.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know how. Are you free? We so free.
We set
They said
free.
stop. They said stop peeing in the water.
That's you guys. This boss net. Yeah, it's weird thinking about that, but yeah, it's something that. Well, the reason I mentioned the Star Wars, the one shot that they're doing the free comic book day. So Segura's added, which is good. So Soul is who's writing now? Soul is writing it now.
I feel like it. I feel like he's always writing it.
Yeah. So he's been writing it, and
It's
then
always Pack or
Guggenheim.
Soul. Soul took a break. I think Greg Pack wrote a lot of
Right.
it.
So we have Alex Segura, Charles Soule, Mark Guggenheim, celebrating a new era, and then it's going to be now after.
So it's
Uh,
more post Jedi.
yeah. So this is post Jedi, but I want to say it's going to actually tie into whatever that one novel was, the post Jedi pre, because I know the Poe Dameron's parents, like his,
Parents, right?
they're going to be in this too. So, um, yeah.
All right,
I don't
listen,
know.
that's the era after Jedi is what we've wanted to see all along. I
Right.
almost feel like uh, the J.J. Abrams movies were like too far in the future. Like
Hmm.
I know, and I know those actors were all that much older. You kind of almost had to set it then if you wanted to use those actors. But
Right. Right.
I don't know. So give me a little CG and give me young Luke.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what I was thinking. If the eventuality of that
Deep
to
fakes, deep fake that
do,
shit.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, if it's well, I'll get some more live action Star Wars in a couple here.
All right, we'll stick to the
But
comic then. This is a
yeah, and
great
then
open era to do comics. So yeah, whatever happens,
yeah,
bring in
I want to see what they're gonna do.
bring
I'm
in Mara Jade.
curious.
That's what we all want to see. We all want to see Mara Jade.
I don't know if they're gonna do it.
We don't really want the Skywalker line to have ended, and the only Skywalker left is not DNA a Skywalker,
Well, wait a second. Let me think about this for a second.
unless Palpatine was secretly Anakin's father. Like I never dug that Virgins in the Force part of the story.
Well, this so the first Star Wars comic, right, basically followed the movie, and then immediately after, it just kind of did its own thing.
The
You know,
original Marvel 1977 comic.
correct. So,
Boy, did it do its own thing.
but it's not in continuity. But I almost wish that the Star Wars comics weren't in continuity. But I believe that the way Lucasfilm has to work with them and the way they
Now,
have to be, they all have to be. They say, "Oh, that stuff can't happen," but that's legends. So anything that happened before, like any of the Star
pre
Wars tales,
JJ, yes.
yeah, X-wing Rogue Squadron, Dark
If
Command, any of
they
those things,
if they
Dark Empire.
reference it, if they reference it, then it happened. But if you don't reference it, as far as you know, yeah, that's all hasn't happened. Which is a shame because there's some phenomenal stories in there.
Yeah, and it's funny. There's a good amount of Star Wars tales, and it's really weird the way that Marvel's reprinting them because they'll do like
You know what?
a
You know what
hardcover.
counts? You know what does count? Probably Splinter of the Mind's Eye because that's a Lucas story.
Right, right. Yeah, they want to be so Lucas. Yeah, so Lucasfilm basically, even though Lucas is their story people, like like that Hidalgo guy, he sucks. But like they're probably going to just kind of have it like held in there. Yeah, I think you're right. That's why I don't think we'll see Mara Jade. I think they'll just be like, well, we're squashing that. Like they're not going to do that. But if you remember, I forget what it was called. Was it called Rebellion? Maybe there's a really good series where um it has one of the kids. It's got one of the twins. And he becomes a Jedi. He's got all these tattoos all over him and stuff. Do you remember that? Jan Dursman drew as John Ostrander.
Yeah, yeah,
And I read
yeah.
probably
They
the first like 10 issues of it, and I was like, this is awesome. And then I just, doing something else, who knows? But we'll see. But I also don't know how if they're gonna have different because the cover that's on there is a Phil Noto cover, but then there's also like a Darth Vader mask, there's also Kylo Ren, and then I don't really know, and Qui-Gon's on it too. So I can't tell what they're doing, like if they're gonna have multiple series and there are gonna be a couple different eras, but the mainline Luke Skywalker stuff is gonna be, pushed.
right.
And so so Oni's putting out another EC. Now here's a question, and I don't know if you know this. Why can't any of these things be called? If you have the EC license, what's better, to have the EC license or have like Oni presents Tales of the Crypt?
And maybe
What is the deal there? They can't
gotta be
use.
a license thing. There has to be a license thing somewhere. Maybe HBO has something. I don't know. There was a crappy, I hate to say crappy, there was an independent Tales from the Crypt comic maybe 10 years ago. And it was all by like people who weren't pros. Yeah, they were trying to be. And it was like, okay, some stories are okay. So I don't know why they just don't call it Tales from the Crypt or Tales from the Vault or any, like the new
Uh,
names are cool. They're EC inspired names, but why even call it EC?
yeah, I don't even. Okay, so like they say, Epitaphs from the Abyss is one, Cruel Universe, Cruel Kingdom, and then so they have one called Blood Type. With Blood Type, it's pretty good, but like this is called Blood Type Zero, and when I first looked at it, I'm like, like Blood Type, I'm thinking but I mean, I would probably do it as specials like that,
Yeah.
O negative, like I don't know.
You know what I want to see? How about we bring back the Mad comic?
Well, yeah, I mean, so,
That's what I would
um,
do. Because Mad Magazine, it's like mostly reprints. This most recent issue, the presidential issue, had some new stuff in it. New Sergio Aragonés thing. The new Man magazine is worth looking at.
The new,
New, a
like in
couple
the
weeks
last
ago.
like 2 years. When it got canceled and then it didn't get canceled, then they started
Right.
putting new material. It was very
And
weird.
then
It was
yeah, and then
announced it was
they
canceled. Everyone cried about it, and then it wasn't never canceled. It was really
correct.
strange.
But then they turned it into a reprint book with a new cover and like a new fold-in every month. And some months you actually get some new stuff in it.
Yeah, this week
This one,
was go ahead. Sorry.
no, I was just finishing up the point that like, I miss Real Mad magazine, and I would definitely take a Mad comic. Like go back to because the first 23 issues of Mad magazine was a comic book,
Yeah, that's what my
and
dad read.
then
My dad read the
and then
comic.
and then to escape the comics code, they made a magazine. Super
Hmm.
smart move. Magazines weren't enforced by the comic code, which is also
Right.
why we got so many great horror magazines in the 70s. All the creepy and eerie and horror and you know
Yeah,
Vampirella. That's how Warren survived.
Warren, and then what was Marvel's, and then they had that, and then you had Seaboard,
Oh
Devlina.
yeah,
I saw Devlina #1 this weekend. I was looking at it. It was like $45. Panther
really?
had one. Yeah, Panther had one. Yep.
Mobile reports getting out. Devilina.
Yeah. Yep. And then he had Six String Samurai on the wall too, signed
Did
by a
he?
local. He had 3 copies. Signed. So Six String Samurai was like an independent movie, and then Maximum Press, like, right? And it
No, it was awesome.
was it
That Liefeld
awesome?
had awesome. Yeah,
Uh, yeah. So then they got a license to do a one shot, and it's probably Robert Napton, if I'm not mistaken, probably
probably
scripted it. John Stinsman and Mark
local
Pizzarillo, I want to say.
local artist John Stinsman,
Yeah,
who
yeah.
drew Evangeline for Liefeld for many issues. But what I think the story behind that is Liefeld's sister-in-law. Rob Liefeld's married. Joey Beth Creel, Liefeld. Joy, great person, really nice. She's one of triplets,
Mm.
and her and her sisters have been acting in Disney films and all sorts of things when they were younger.
Saved by the Bell.
Saved by the Bell, the one
Right.
sister
Yeah.
was on Saved by the Bell, and she became a producer for a while in Hollywood.
Mm.
And I think she was one of the producers on the Six String Samurai movie. I think the biggest movie she did was I think it was a Ben Stiller movie, like The Suburbs or Suburban or Suburbia. It was like one of
Oh.
his like movies like nobody heard about. It wasn't like a
Mm.
big for a
Was that
Ben Stiller
recent?
movie. No, this is like
Oh, I'm thinking of
2000.
Greenberg. Yeah. Oh, okay, that's an early one. Not Permanent Midnight,
No,
about Alf creator.
yo, I never
Was it?
saw that. I love
I saw
Alf.
the movies.
Did
It's
you?
so depressing. It's a very
It's
depressing movie. There's a part where like there's literal. It's him, Elizabeth Hurtley, and he plays the writer Jerry. I forget the real guy's name. It's Jerry something, I want to say, but he was a real like co-creator of Alf, and they would go on to the set. It was like Alf, and then Charles Fleischer was the Alf character, and he wasn't in the costume, but he was the puppeteer. So I'm like, Charles Fleischer was he was Roger Rabbit, who on
right.
set on Roger Rabbit wore a full Roger Rabbit costume. You
The
know?
I just look. It's funny. I was up at a comic store this weekend. I'll talk about it later. But there I saw a copy of Alf #1, which is very nostalgic for me because my brother TJ, that was his. We all collected different comics. We were kids, and his collection was Alf, and it's just like Alf looking up at a painting of himself, and he's like Robert Redford, you know.
Right. It's a pretty good Alf, actually.
Thank you,
My mom made me an Alf costume. I should see if I can find a picture of that.
dude. You gotta.
Dude, and it was from scratch. It was literally like went to the store, got like a fur outfit, and it almost could double for Chewbacca, and then made like a whole like, and it was like a huge, and I won. It was Cub Scout Troop 64, which is behind it was a Wawa, but now it's like seven. It's on Almanesson and
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, yeah. That was the.
Good Intent Road. So it's Good Intent Road and Almanesson right there.
Mhm.
There's a church that's behind that there. That church was where the Cub Scouts would meet.
Yeah,
And
that's
then
the. They were pretty well known as being the least molested Cub Scouts.
yeah, that was the least. Yeah, and you know what? You know what was kind of great about that is that I did go away, and it was really cold, and for whatever reason, I do not like the cold. I don't mind it now, but I don't I guess like I should find out more about this. I guess I was 7 or 8, and I unfortunately the next morning I cried and cried and cried, and they called my parents and they had to come pick me up.
So
So I wasn't molested on that trip because I went home.
good.
Um, and I didn't have any weird uncles or anything like that. So, and
Same,
I was a
same. Isn't that
Catholic.
great?
Yeah, right. And then I was a Catholic. I wasn't ever altered where my brother was, and as far as I know, I don't
Mm.
believe there was anything there. But
He'd be
like,
more likely to be molested.
he's much
He's
handsomer than me.
much more handsomer than
He's
you.
very, very handsome.
And you know what? It goes along with his he's a little messed up, you know?
Oh boy. So, but yeah, so that church literally was like that's so every time I go past it, I always think about I was like my I think about my Alf costume.
That's so funny.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's crazy. Yeah. So, and then lastly, I guess to go back to comic books, to get back into that, was Energon Universe Special, which has basically it was all redacted. Like they just don't tell you what it is, or they have
Right.
like a half censored cover, which
Yeah,
is really cool.
because it just fits right in with all the storylines. Last year's Free Comic Book Day fit in perfectly with every comic.
Mhm.
We had
Yeah.
Brian Otley draw a Transformer story. That was incredible.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that to be good. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go up to Main Street. I'm definitely going to Main Street Comic in Milltown, New Jersey. That's like Central Jersey. But he always has.
Yeah, I usually
Where do you go? You go down south, right? You go
no,
to
no,
like
I
Level Up.
yeah, level up down in the Hamilton Mall. But like I don't know if I have time to go down there because it's a Saturday of a Marvel movie. And normally we see all the Marvel movies,
Oh yeah.
my family and friends, that Saturday after. Maybe I'll make it a later movie for once.
Hmm.
Yeah, but I used to go to a lot of places just stopped carrying the comics. I
Well.
don't know what I went to Panther this year
Hmm.
because Stinsman was there.
Oh right, right.
Went to Panther, talked to John Stinsman for the first time. Um, got a couple comics there, and then we shopped down at Hamilton. What's the name? Who's the toy store? The big guy used to work for Hall of Heroes Comics. House of
Sal.
Fun.
Oh yeah,
House of Fun.
yeah.
He's got like a warehouse of toys, collecting
He's got a
dust.
museum. He doesn't sell things. I can tend. I've tried to buy a few things there, and like they make up prices, so that it makes me I get very frustrated there.
He's listening right now. He's like, "You son of a bitches."
Maybe I mean he knows, but see, like, but that's the situation where he can overprice certain things that he doesn't want to really sell. And I feel like I took some Micronauts New Voyages trying to fill that in, and then like it was like I need like one issue, and then like he wasn't there. The guy, I forgot, I don't know his name, I forget his name, but then like whoever was working there calls him, and then he's like $7. I'm like $7 for Micronauts New Voyage, like number 11, and I'm like,
I
yep.
hate
I'm like, who cares? Sure,
I hate play like have a price on your item. Don't
have a price
look
on
it
your
up.
item.
Don't look it up.
Yeah,
You know,
Panther this weekend was great. And we'll get into it and later, and I want to hear
yeah,
about the
but there's
comic store
there's
you
two
went
types.
to.
There's two types of
You should
like
have just FaceTimed me, dude. I know you're on like a little trip. You should have just been like, I'm sorry, Kathy, I need to talk. Mark needs to look at this store and then
yeah.
judge it. So I'm just gonna FaceTime him and
I know
just have the
I
camera
totally
turned
should have.
around and walked around, and I'm like,
You know what? You're
what's
right.
that? Let me see that.
I should have filmed the store because it's a very unique store in a very unique
Uh,
town.
hmm.
There's two types of people who sell comics. All right, you and I, we're like, we just want to move the stuff. Like, let's if we get it in, read it, turn it around. We you sell a lot of sets. I sell a lot of individuals. I'm not about keeping a bunch of stuff. I'm always trying to get my collection down to the perfect amount. But then you have people who overprice it, and they overprice it so much that they're hoping for someone to swoop in one day who's like, I need this book today. Here it is, buy now for $20,
I need Micronauts.
and they
Yeah,
and
right.
they do it.
Hmm.
Um,
Then you
there
have
was
other
a
stores that
I
just don't have them priced, and then they just figure it out.
and
Like,
I tried to. Our friend Ron was trying to get rid of a bunch of magazines. I'm like, I'll take them. I'll take a box of magazines. I'll go throw them up on eBay, dollar two a piece. No, he had like 10 boxes of magazines. It was like
hmm.
Rolling Stones and a couple of National Geographics and a lot of like entertainment. And I did eventually sell them all. But when I got down to the end, so someone was angry with me. He's like, oh, you got to stop selling these magazines for like $2. Like, you hold on to them and you sell them for like 15. And I
You
looked at this
wait
guy's
for like a
page.
star or something like that. Right.
You wait for
Exactly.
someone to die or someone to get famous again or something.
Right.
I'm like, I don't want to hold on to these forever. I don't care about magazines. Like I care about comics. I care about, the stuff that we like, but I just couldn't imagine and I wanted to move. So at the end of the day, I finally, like when I got down to like a box or two, I just put them on like Facebook Marketplace and somebody bought them.
Oh, okay.
Some girl who like works some weird, I guess, home for like special people. Like she took them all. And I'm
Okay.
like, oh, there's like a couple Playboys in there. She's like, then I'll keep those. I'm like, all right, you're cool.
Wow. Oh man. Yeah, it's weird. I just the stores that don't price at all. There's one that's up in me and Chris and Panther just talked about it. I'm trying to think what it's called. It's near uh Dr. Wonder. Dr. Wonder, I think, sold it or gave it to his niece or something like that. And now they're in this building that the downstairs is a florist, and you got to go up two stairs. Then they have like a little open area. Then they have an extra area, and then they have like four people on eBay stuff. Nothing's priced. Everything's everywhere.
Ugh.
Nothing's priced.
My wife at one point, my wife's a botanist florist special list, and she's like, we should have a store where like one side's a florist and one side's a comic store. I'm like, that's a horrible idea because your things need to stay like moist,
Right, right,
like
right, right.
no, that's not a good
You
idea.
didn't like the stuff was in my basement. Some of my comics were in my basement. You're like, you got to get them out of here. It's
Get them
not a
out of
good
the basement.
idea. Get them out of the basement.
Too humid.
Yeah, get them out of the basement. So, lots of solicits. So it's a lot of solicits in the news, but that's okay. I mean, listen, the solicits were killer this week, you know. So, I don't know what kind of contract, and I guess I could just ask Nick really. Linser's covers. Did you look through the Dynamite solicits? He had covers for Herculoids,
My
Savage
listener,
Tales. Yeah,
that's
yeah,
neat.
Joseph Michael Linser, like, and he's does a lot of Red Sony covers, but the Savage
A,
Tales
a
was a
lot.
yeah,
I don't know
this
how he remembers what he does before because he's done so many Vampirella, so many Red Sonja covers. Like, how many times
oh
can they
right,
have her
like how many
stand
times
there
you have to
looking?
pose, right?
Yeah, like what are you doing?
They're
Like
always good. They're I don't
you
know,
could,
but you're right.
no, they're
You're
always
right.
good.
Yeah, no,
I
you're
wonder if you
right.
could like make a flip book out of them. Maybe she like
Does
moves
Jeff have
slowly.
does Jeff have some? Doesn't Jeff Schomburg have some original stuff from him? I know he was crazy about Joe Linser for a long
He
time.
was. He was even trying to look like him with his long hair and being out of shape.
He's like, oh, yeah, I don't know. I wonder if he has anything. But yeah, the covers were just like I know Alex Ross typically kind of takes that, but I feel like lately somehow something's in the water going the right way. Like it's always it's never been bad to be clear, but all like but yeah he did Herculoids, the Savage Tales, which was a I think it might have been a Buscema. It was an homage cover, I know that for sure. And then his Barbarella cover A was ridiculous. And
What
then
do you
there
mean?
is
Like good or bad?
just great, just
Was it
fantastic.
still her in the weird red jumpsuit?
Yeah, I want to say that might be a licensing thing. I'm not really sure. I like that. I like that design.
I feel like something better should be created. You don't have to look like the movie, but be something.
Right, right. Um, yeah, it's but yeah, the alternate covers this week, you know, you sent me. I tried to send you something, and then it didn't work because I updated my iOS and like so I'm sending pictures to different people and they're like, I don't know what you're sending me. You didn't send me anything. So, but you sent me the Herculoids cover, which was the Mignola cover, which is amazing. And that's Craig Rizzo. So it's Sinowski, Craig Rizzo. So Sinowski, you know, he's done a ton of different like Hellboy stuff. So that's really fun.
I love it.
And Craig
And
Rizzo was per Is that right?
for Happenauts, right? And
Mm-hmm.
he did Flash with or not Flash, Impulse. He did Impulse
Impulse.
after
Yeah.
Ramos left. But
Right, right, right.
I enjoy for Happenauts a lot. People go look them up on Kickstarter whenever they do another collection.
Yeah, that's a Baltimore staple. You can go see Dezago, and they're always at Baltimore.
Always there,
Um,
always good guys.
yeah, Barbarella the had a alternate cover. If you saw the Richard Pace cover, which is Nakira homage, it's actually pretty cool. She's like walking to, you know,
Richard
basically the.
Pace, another really nice guy.
I
You
never
know,
met him. Yeah, he did. He's doing a couple things.
well, he's been doing that book with Mark Russell, the Superman is roommates with Jesus book, which the book's it's so
Right.
much. It's not. It's so not that. That's like the worst description of a comic ever. But it's such a crazy description that
It
DC
got
got
it
rid of it.
fired. Yeah,
Yeah,
they got him fired.
yeah.
And he
But
was coming off, and Mark Russell was coming off like a pretty high, you know, pretty a very critical acclaimed run on Flintstones,
yes,
which was a great run. What
great.
Steve Pugh wrote, and I was like, Steve
Pew
Pugh's going to draw
pew.
this, you know? I was like, that
I
doesn't
know.
make any
I was
sense.
not excited, and then you get it, and you're like, oh, he did a good job.
Yeah,
Like this
it's a
looks
whole
good.
different continuity. Yeah, it's really good. I liked all that stuff. I liked Snagglepuss too. I think Snagglepuss is
Snaggles was
excellent.
great. Jetsons was pretty good. Amanda Connor at least did the covers for that book.
Yeah, I know Jimmy wrote it. Um,
What is that book he did? Is it like it's not like Last Son or something? What is the Superman book called?
I
Superman
forget.
Jesus.
Superman Jesus. Just look up Superman Jesus, and I'm sure it'll pop up.
I'm sure.
But yeah,
But
then
they're working on a third series of that or fourth series. I know they're working. Richard Pace is drawing that right now. That's why I wanted to
okay.
bring it up.
Oh, I
You
didn't
know,
even know it had more than one.
yeah, there's like two or three miniseries, and it's very typical Mark Russell. And you know what's funny is I think Mark Russell leans agnostic. I don't want to speak for him, but I think he said that, where it's
I
basically
think that's
proof.
right. Yeah.
But when you read the book, it's very it's the way Christians should be thinking, and a lot of Christians write to him and say, "Yeah, this is the way I view the Bible and the way we should treat people." It's and not the Christian nationalists that have kind of taken over the religion. That I'm not getting religious on everyone. I'm just saying Christians like the way an agnostic, possible atheist writes Christians and writes
Right,
our
right,
the
right,
deities. I don't know. I just find that very interesting.
right. Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. Well, he wrote something. He had a book. It looked like a Bible. I'm trying to Shannon Wheeler drew it. I'm trying to remember what it was called. I thought I had it. I don't know. I probably have it somewhere. Um, but yeah, I forget what that was called. But that was all about faith too. So I think he could even just have like straight up like a degree in theology or something like that. And
Well,
then
listen, so many people are raised that way, and whether they leave it or decide to stay. But if you sit there and think about it as an adult, it's a very interesting topic. It's
yeah,
very interesting to break down what's in the Bible and be like, what the hell is this? This is crazy. This is cool. Like you just,
right.
you
What
know,
are you going to take as verbatim? What are you going to take as not like as it's not true? Like so.
or is
I
it
went
just
through the Ten
hard to
Commandments.
comprehend? It's hard to comprehend by people back then.
Yeah,
These things, they're just,
I went
we're
through the
gonna.
Ten Commandments 2 nights ago with my one daughter, just as we were talking about
Did you?
something, and I looked up. They're so weird. They're so. I mean, listen, and I guess we are going religion, right?
Uh
First
oh.
one's like
We're
no other gods. Like
we
this,
we ha-
just
we have a fan
just
that's like
me.
listening very
Right,
closely.
right. Just me, no gods, just me. Then they have like keep holy the Sabbath day. It's like, what does that mean?
It
Can't do
means
nothing on Sunday? Can't do
or
nothing. What do you
or
mean?
or or the Jewish religion thought it was Saturday, so we don't even know what day to keep holy.
Just you gotta keep it holy though. All right. What does that mean? I can't like
No work, so you got
no
to
work.
prepare your food. Yeah,
All we do is
he
work.
God rested a day. We rest a day. I always thought it's always weird was like, don't put any other gods before me. I'm like, are there other gods, or are you just
What?
saying don't
Yeah.
make up gods and put them
I
before
didn't
me?
know about it. The guy you brought it up. You know what I mean? Like I would be
Like
like, yeah, like
like
what?
which gods? You know, it's
Yeah.
like when you have when God cast Cain out. He's like, leave, don't leave your family. He's like, well, go
Right,
east
right,
into the land of Nod. He's like, I can't go there. Those people will kill me. I'm like, what people? Did it? Isn't your dad Adam and
right,
your
right, right,
mom's Eve? Who's killing
right,
you?
right. Landon
Are
Nod
these who's there? Is it the Neanderthals? Are you scared of the Neanderthals? Is that
of
what
the
who's
dinosaurs. Is there dinosaurs over
no no
there?
that you're getting two creationists
I
on
know.
me there.
Right. It's a hollow
Except for
Earth.
Hollow Earth.
Um,
So anyway,
yeah. Then there's like an envy one, and don't take your neighbor shit. Like there's like a adultery is one. You know what I mean? Like it's
yeah,
like
don't
one guy. Adultery is a full one, full, right? But
so
like
it's like
now,
don't commit adultery, but also don't lust after your neighbor's wife. But
yeah,
can you like
don't
take a quick look? Like, okay.
no that yeah do that, but don't do that. Like yeah, it's just odd. Anyway, it's really really odd. Yeah, I think my favorite
So this has been a 700
short.
club.
Yeah, right. My favorite short, and I think I might even send it to you. Someone clipped it on Instagram, and it was Ricky Gervais on Colbert. And Colbert's like, I got a bone to pick with. He just starts fighting him immediately. You should watch it. It's like 7 or 8 minutes. It gets better when they go to commercial break. They kind of almost make up. But Colbert just straight up attacks him,
Right. Because
and
Colbert is a
then
super hardcore Catholic. Not in a
so
crazy way. He's just
right.
a good, strong Catholic.
But he says to him, he's like, well, he's like, how do you believe in no God? And he's like, wait, so you believe, you think there's 3,000 gods, right? There's a million different gods. What Ricky Gervais is saying.
Different religions,
Yeah,
yes.
and he's like, and I believe one less than you. And he says, do you believe in any of the other? No, like just again, commandment one, no way, no other gods, zero. You 3,000, yeah, I'll acknowledge that there may be 3,000 other gods, but mine's the best. Mine's the only one. And then he says, okay, well, I believe in one less than you. That's it. So it was, and then and then like Colbert had to pause and was like, "Oh man, like it's a really good idea. It's a really good concept of that. You know what I mean? And kind of really like zooming way out. You know. So yes,
There's a
seven,
great
so
there's a great book.
700 Club.
There's
How do
there's a
we get
great
here?
there's a great book called the Old Testament
From
that came out in the
Alf?
80s from Alf. Hey, hey
Hey
Willie.
Willie.
There's a great book in the 80s called The Old Testament or Crazy Tales from the Old Testament, like that. But Alan Moore's got a story. And Alan Moore tackles Leviticus, which is crazy because in Leviticus is all of the hardcore rules. That's where all the don't have different fabrics in your clothes, don't shave your beard, don't eat oysters, you know. But Alan Moore wrote it. So it's like just like a
Right.
really, it
Oh, I
just kind
wrote
of shows you how
it.
nuts like trying to follow all the 600 Jewish laws are.
Oh, I want to write down something. That just remind me of something I wanted to talk to you about. I'm just gonna write it in here real fast. All right,
About our
let's
Lord
go.
and Savior Jesus Christ. We can
Our
talk
Lord
after.
and Savior Alan Moore. That's why I was actually. It's a bearded guy. He's kind of crazy, you know. So,
Rob, if you read the Bible, these are the books that you need to read. Rob, start off
so,
with Leviticus.
so lastly in the Dynamite news. So, did you see the James Stokeo cover of Silverhawks? Silverhawks 2?
Yes.
It's unreal. It's unbelievable. So I don't know. Again,
Should I break out the my hidden knowledge? I'm gonna break out the hidden knowledge because it's out there.
of your Stokeo.
No, of Herculoids.
Hmm.
Herculoids. There's gonna be a Liefeld cover, and it hasn't been announced yet. But
You're
but
exclusive.
exclusive.
Exclusive. But he mentioned on one of his live
He
streams.
mentioned it on one of his live streams.
Okay, so not
And
exactly
he showed a little.
exclusive.
So hopefully Nick doesn't listen to this one. He'd be like Liefeld, and then he'd be like, "Thank you for the extra orders."
Right, right, right. Well,
So
it's
yeah,
all strategic because I think Liefeld recalled when he got the call or Nick texted him and he was at like a dinner with his wife or something, right? He was at some function or something, and he's like, "Go outside and post this on like LinkedIn or post it on your site or Instagram
for the
for
Thundercats cover.
Thundercats 1, yeah, because it was like a final order cutoff
So here's a smart move.
situation.
Here's what they did. He solicited Thundercats with 10 covers by various artists. Great. Sells 100,000 copies. That's phenomenal for Thundercats and
Mhm.
Dynamic and Dynamite. And then they go, oh yeah, we're going to have a Liefeld cover. The next day, 70,000 extra orders are in. And I'm actually the one that messaged Liefeld. I'm like, hey, congrats on 70,000 copies. Oh, extra on Thundercats. He's like, what are you talking about? And I sent him a link. He was like,
That's
holy
right, because the
crap.
Bleeding
And
Cool
then he
ads
was,
next day. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
What are
And
you
then he's
talking
just like,
about?
what are you talking about?
uh, wow.
And then he got bragging rights for like a month on that book.
Yeah, no, that's correct. That's
So
correct.
I wouldn't be surprised to do the same thing with Herculoids. Here's 8 different covers by a bunch of cool people, and people are really excited about
Uh,
Herculoids. You
yeah,
know,
there's a lot of good covers that are
I
on there.
always loved them as a kid. I always thought they were so cool. I'm
Yeah,
always sad they didn't try to do anything with it. To this day, I mean, I guess you did a lot of CG. The fact that we don't have a Herculoids movie, surprising.
yeah, I think yeah, no, that's yeah, I agree with you there. So,
But can you imagine
um,
how shitty a late '90s Herculoids movie would have been? Like we're talking mask level special effects, or like Son of the Mask level special effects,
right, right. Yeah,
or
I would like it almost to be bad. I would almost like the big guy. Like I would want it to be almost kind of like, you
you know
know,
what? For that movie to be good, it would have had been made like in 1990 before special effects, where everything's like Jim Henson, you know, Jim
right.
Henson Hercules movie, phenomenal.
Mm. Ugh,
I know, right?
that's sad. Yeah, so the thing that I said I was taking pictures of and sending pictures of the solicits I sent to Nick Barucci. I sent him the picture of like the Red Sonja, the proof, like the statue, which is
Yes,
basically a 3D Frank Thorne. I can't believe it. Like I was like, I can't. This is unbelievable. And
it's a
he's like, I
great
didn't get
idea.
anything. Right? And it's like, oh, sorry. Here's what I meant. Like, because I updated my iOS, but just crazy, just wonderful. Yeah, I get that's
That's
just
a
the way
really
that
nice
things are
statue.
moving, you know, if they're moving. And I don't know if who sculpted it or whatever, but I feel like the issue that I'm having with all the just the gross mounds of McFarlane figures. They're just gross looking. Like they're just gross. Like
Right,
there was like an Ultraman that I
but
was
by
looking at that was just all like muscly and just like it was almost like the type of muscle that it's on there. It's almost like he has cellulite over his muscle. What's going on? They're just bad. I don't know. I don't know.
except when he's doing the toys of his art, which then they look incredible.
Yeah, does he is he doing it on purpose? I don't understand. You know, like I don't know. Did you see what he posted? He posted something they're doing these special exclusive they're for the wall, and it's corner box art. And he has a Batman
Oh
one that
yeah.
he drew, and I think someone else drew it, and then he just redrew it, and then he has Dan Jurgens. Um, he has a Dan Jurgens Superman, and it's like 3D, and it's on the wall. It's probably like this big. It's pretty big, but they're like I think 150 or something like that. And I was like, oh, not that I should be putting more comic book stuff on my walls. Forget
More
it.
stuff on your wall, Mark.
Yeah, forget it. So, more solicits. So, yeah,
More
Dynamite
stuff for the
solicits
cats to
were Dynamite.
knock out.
Dynamite solicits were Dynamite. Dark Horse, I guess you can't say they're Dark
Dynamite.
Horse. But yeah, did you see that? Like, so Minor Threats. I have to catch up because Minor Threats was great. We're
We enjoyed
certified
it.
awestruck, right? Should we do that? We should do that. It's like a stamp.
It is a stamp. We are all
Certified
struck by this
awestruck.
comic.
Um, Minor Threats great. So that's Jordan Blum and Patton Oswalt. But Fraction is co-writing with Mike Allred, and Mike Allred drawing. I think it's a one shot. It doesn't really say. It doesn't really say, but they have a character that looks. He looks like Twilight. He looks like what's his name? Well, it says Twilight. Just Welcome to Twilight is the name, but who was the character that he
Twilight's
drew?
the name of the city, right?
Yeah. It's Welcome to Twilight, but and then there's a character about this like it's like a bird-winged actor or something like that. It's not a superhero.
Just because I'm thinking about
Sounds
it
like
now,
Birdman.
between Mike Allred drawing this, and we talked about Mark Russell previously. Did you hear that they? I don't know if you wrote this down. That they are announcing Wonder Woman: The Golden Age.
No, you asked me if I read when you called me the other day. You asked me if I read the Batman Dark Age 6, and I said I want to read it all together, maybe this weekend. And it's over. I didn't do it, but yeah, I do want to read that. But I wanted that announcement. I wanted that.
Yeah,
You
it
know,
hasn't been officially announced, but like it's been talked about by both of them. So I feel
good.
okay talking about it here. So
Yeah,
yeah, I
I
really
want that.
enjoyed Superman Space Age. I really enjoyed Batman Dark Age, and now we're going to get Wonder Woman: The Golden Age.
I got to reread Space Age together because the third one I remember not liking a lot, but I liked the second one like so much. I can't say exactly what like disconnected for me in the third issue, but I feel like
Maybe
if I read it all at once,
maybe you were sad that day.
it's very possible. It's very possible. Yeah, so I'm trying. Yeah, that's very possible. This I guess I've missed. I feel like that. I mean, I guess now that we're like in the news and in the solicits, I feel like I keep missing solicits. So because it doesn't say there's another Hellboy spinoff, and normally it says like from the world of Hellboy and the way that it's like solicited, it looks like that. But this was just called like Shadow of the Golden Crane #3. And I want to say that maybe 1 and 2 didn't have key art or something in it at all because the cover they had for #3 in the solicits to come out in February or March rather, 3, has Hellboy in the side, and it's a new BPRD agent. And I pulled a quote because he was interviewed. So Chris Roberson is writing it. Mike Avon Oeming is plotting it and drawing it. And it's a 1950s BPRD tale. So it's like BPRD 1957 Shadow of the Golden Crane. They're just calling it Shadow of the Golden Crane,
Hmm.
which is interesting. And it's just and I'm rereading BPRD, and I just read when Oeming did like a one shot there way back. Like that
Oh,
was
so good.
yeah. That Scott Collins one, like and Jeff John Scott Collins one, like
Really, yeah,
floored me. Like last week, I was just crying. I'm looking at it like oh, like it was just it because that's a whole Ghost Train thing. I think it's
yeah.
called Ghost Train, but oh my god, yeah, really really
You ever
wonderful.
run a
But
ghost train? A lot of
no,
ectoplasm, a lot of plasma all over the place.
no, no black lights.
Yeah,
Um,
did I ever tell you? This is just a funny story. Do you remember the Amazing Stories episode where, like, as a kid, he stuck his head on the railroad track, and the conductor of the train felt so bad that he didn't want to run the kid over, so he slams on the brakes. The train crashes, like 100 people die. So as an old man, like the train comes back and picks him up, like the ghost train.
oh wow, no, I
So
don't remember
like
that. Yikes.
I was it was a really good episode. I was talking to this girl. I was probably like 14 at the time, and I told her that story like it was a real thing to happen in New Jersey. Like there's this real ghost train
Weird
in
New
New
Jersey.
Jersey. Like, oh, you never heard of the ghost train? Like, oh, this little kid, stuck his head on the tracks and the whole thing. Like, I just
The only amazing story I remember was might have been like the first one with the cartoonist guy, and then the landing strip or the landing.
the
Uh,
what? Say
there
what now?
there was an airplane that so the airplane's coming
Oh,
down.
airplane on a landing strip.
Yeah,
Getting
so
excited.
right, but the one of the one of the wheels wasn't coming out. It was broken or something like that, and then he
Yes,
drew it.
I remember.
as a cartoon, and then it like happened, you know. So it was very,
The one that always
very.
sticks out for me, and my parents were like, "This is why you buy comics." There was a guy who was a toy collector, and he loved his toys. And it's like in the 50s, and he had his nice car. And like this troll shows up. He's like, "Always hold on to your toys or whatever.
Mhm.
It'll pay off in the end." So like, it fast forwards, and he doesn't have a wife, doesn't have kids, and then at the end, he's really old and he's poor, and he's got some Santa Claus cup, and the woman's like, "Oh, can I buy that cup off of you?" And he's like, the guy like he has change in it, like it's his change cup, and the guy
Mhm.
wouldn't take the change for gas. The woman was like, "I'll give you 10 for it." He's like, "Yeah, okay, that's good. That's good. Like last meal, I'll use that." She goes, "All right,
All
I'll be
right.
right back with the $10,000." And she drives away to go get $10,000 for the cup. And he's like, "Huh?" And then you see him like at an auction selling his toys, and everything's going for like 80,000, 100,000.
Oh wow.
And he's
I
looking
don't
all
remember that one.
fancy.
Huh.
And he's looking all fancy in his suit. And he looks over and there's the troll. And the troll's like, probably like Billy Barney or something, Billy Barney. And he's like, thumbs up. He's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, is that a happy ending? Like, you're going to
Right.
die in 2 years. You're 80 years old. You missed out on a life of like family and kids. And yeah, your toys are cool and stuff, but like, you could have a collection and also have a family. Like, it, and my parents thought like I collected stuff because of that episode. I'm like,
Right.
no, that's like, even though it was like a happy ending, it's not a good moral.
Right. Right. It's funny you thought of that in that way there. Uh, but man, how many times has our collection like bailed us out of stuff?
Yeah,
We can just go to it. You know,
you
like
just
all
go
right.
to it.
You know, that's why I joke, guys. I never. Um. Oh, so Chris from Panther, I was telling him that you called it decollecting.
Yeah.
He calls it unhoarding. And then he
Okay.
had a whole thing. Holy mackerel! He had a whole thing where he has three boxes. So he has his like really good stuff. He has stuff that he's working on. He has kind of garbage, and then he's like, and then he just kind of rotate it. And he's like, and he's I always ever really have like three boxes. So stuff I'm working on, okay, I can part with that now. It's not important to me anymore. And so he has something similar. Because I was telling him I got rid of my 10. I got 10 boxes down. But yeah, pretty. That's so funny. But yeah, so this Hellboy thing again, didn't know about it. I'm excited about some of the Hellboy stuff that's coming out next week, next month, or next year anyway. There seemed to be refocused a little bit, but Oming said when I turned 50, I reflected on my career and what else I wanted to do. Working more on the Hellboy universe was at the top of my list, so I reached out to Mike and Dark Horse, and they said, yeah. I was thrilled to be assigned to work on Susan Zhang. So I wonder if he created. That's not a character I remember. So to work on Susan Zhang with Chris Roberson. So they probably just created this character. And I imagine that Taki Soma is going to color it. But yeah, it looks really cool.
Yeah, I would imagine. That's so they both get paid.
This is something that Vault and maybe we'll go this way, but are we going to go back to banned comics? Like Kiss had a bunch of comics, but Def Leppard's getting a comic, and it's specifically there's going to be a graphic novel through Vault of Hysteria, and they're doing a free comic book day. So they're doing a portion of it coming out as free comic book day. Elliot Rahal was writing it, and I want to say that I don't know if you read this. Remember a couple years ago, they had the Atari like miniseries and stuff. I like the Centipede, Elliot Rahal, I never read him before. Centipede was
No.
excellent. And it's someone that looks like Peter Kowalski. I don't think it was, but also really good art in that. But he's writing this and with Phil Collins, Collen, he's co-writing, and he's the lead guitarist
Right.
of Def Leppard. 20 million copies worldwide. So
Right.
then so yeah, so almost through the comic news stuff here. Next, basically, I don't know what we've kind of talked about this a couple times. I don't know what Alien Comics is doing really, but I do like this. They're putting out a special artist edition reprint of Exo Manowar Zero in black and white. Then they have like a recolored version. Then they have like a black and white. They have a couple covers, right? So they have a Joe Quesada black and white recolored version, black and white version.
It's,
Six
I
five
I
ninety
do
nine,
know.
28
I
pages.
I know when they had a omnibus of Exo Manowar, they had a recolor of the original cover because it was you can't like a lot like some of the comics are scanned, some of them they have files.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I guess they didn't have a file of the original colors for the number zero chromium cover, and
Chromium, yeah.
you can't really scan chromium, so they did have a recolor of that for the omnibus. So this is neat. They're doing That original art of X-Men Manowar 0? Is that
Yeah,
what
it's
it
seven and
says?
a half by 11, so it's oversized. So it's not. I don't think that's
That's a gorgeous book.
it's great. And I guess it does say it's 28 pages, so it's 28 because I remember it being a little bit thicker at the time.
They
Yeah,
should just throw in the Bloodshot Zero cover just because it's a really nice Joe Quesada. Not one. One's the Barry
Bloodshot
Windsor
Zero.
Smith.
That's
Yeah,
right.
Bloodshot Zero.
Yeah, I think I have Bloodshot Zero just because I bought it because it was a dollar. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
and it's a
Bloodshot and Eternal Warrior, I think, on the cover.
but it's a
Jumping.
gorgeous Joe. Yeah, yes, but it's a really good Joe Quesada. I love that Joe Quesada era. Like right before, like I liked a lot of Joe Quesada, but specifically right before he took over Ash, post X Factor, he had this weird. He was doing the Wizard covers. He was doing the
Mm.
Batman covers. That was like Joe Quesada at his most Quesada Ash isk
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
isk.
Esque. Joe Quesada had most Quesada-esque. Trying to see if I can grab. I just got a Batman 5. There it is. This one. Woo. And then
Oh,
you got
nice.
Bam. Yeah, I'm
So
trying to
cool,
get it
dude.
light. Yeah, that's great. That's real. That's real. And it's just an extension of the building on the other side too. And it's, just really cool. You
Well,
know?
it's very well done.
Yeah.
It's well thought out.
Yeah. So that's super fun.
It's well comic engineered.
Well, they just started, and then look at this too. Like think about the extras. All these extras are really fun. So look, they have like a postcard, like it's a literal postcard you can pull off, and you can, it says "Classic Batman" in quotes. You can say classic, by Jim Aparo, and then you have the new Batman by Mike Manley. Woo, Philadelphia Mike Manley, by the way,
That's right.
who draws crap, not the Shadow.
What now?
Yeah, he does a strip. He does
Yeah,
a
he does. He does do a daily show.
yeah. I don't.
I don't know. I would have agreed with you about the shadow, but
Yeah, we think that's wrong.
no research. No research needed.
No, no research here. So we should have like a no research like flag, and pop up, or just hold it up and be like, whoopsie.
One day I will do an ounce of research for this show, Mark. Don't you worry.
Uh, you're
If
too
it's not
busy.
off
It's
the
okay.
cuff, I'm not helping.
No, it's okay. So you did not see Gladiator 2? I'm never gonna
Correct.
see it.
Correct.
I'm not gonna
No,
see it.
I will see it. I did a report in high
I like
school
Paul
about.
Mescal though.
I'd like. I really like the first movie a lot. So I think if I see the second one eventually, I'll like it. I did a report in high school about the arena, Gladiators, Coliseum, and it was a really good report. And I got to the cool thing about the movie is they're flooding. They show the scenes where they're flooding the Coliseum and they have the
Right.
the fox.
Sharks.
Yeah, no sharks.
Oh.
But they had the military fights, the naval fights
Mhm.
in the boats, and that's
Yeah, it's a
awesome.
real
And
thing.
that's a real thing.
Yeah.
And then when I got to college, I finagled and was able to take that same report and hand it in as a college report. I'm like, yes.
That's right. Well, now I can only imagine being a teacher now and having like grade something. Everything's written by AI or everything is like,
They do. Yeah, well, they have research to. There's
they
ways to
probably
point
have
that
like
out.
a reverse. Yeah, they probably have some type of
They
like
have
search
some,
engine.
you know.
The reason I mentioned is that Denzel Washington's I think I don't know if he's drunk on all these interviews. The interviews I've seen with him lately have been
Well,
really wacky.
that's why he flew that plane upside down, right? He was drunk.
He was drunk. He's very believable drunk in that. Maybe wonder why, but I have no idea. No, please, I don't think Denzel Washington is watching this, um, but he just kind of was talking about, and it's weird. And it's like he does almost like the weep. It's almost the weep. He says, and he's talking about Othello. I played Othello when I was 22. I'm about to play Othello at 70 on Broadway. He's co-starring with Jake Gyllenhaal, and that opens in February. After that, I'm playing Hannibal. After that, I've been talking to Steve McQueen, not classic Bullet actor Steve McQueen, but director Steve McQueen. Um, and after that, Ryan Coogler is writing a part for me in the next Black Panther. And then after that, I'm going to do the film Othello. And then after that, I'm going to do King Lear. And after that, I'm going to retire. So I don't think you can say I'm retiring. Like everything is like he's retiring. I'm like, well, here's like 6 projects.
Well,
And
hold on, dude. Let's skip. Let's not skip over the Black Panther thing. Everything's awesome. I love Othello.
well,
I love King Lear.
that's what we're gonna
Shakespeare,
focus. We're not
Shakespeare,
gonna skip over the Black
phenomenal.
Panther.
We don't have comics without Shakespeare. Neil
Yeah,
Gaiman, no career without Shakespeare.
correct. Shakespeare. They just put out a trade. I don't know if you saw that. They just put out a trade of like the Shakespeare stuff in Sandman. It's literally called that, or it's
He
a
was
one. It
like,
was a one shot.
he's like,
It was Charles
hello, I'm
Vess.
gonna write this so hard.
I'm gonna write this once you come to the come to the greenhouse. So
So I like Neil Gaiman. He was nice.
cheers.
He was a nice guy. I got to talk to him about Miracle Man back when they
Yeah,
weren't publishing it. The rest of the story.
yeah. I think he's. I think he's very canceled. Very
Mm,
canceled.
yeah, he's canceled-ish.
Yeah,
I don't
we'll
think
see.
he's completely canceled.
We'll see.
Um. So yeah. So
You were away, so this is my last. This is the
well, hold
media.
on. We just
Oh,
said we weren't going to skip over something, so we're not going to
I'm
skip
skipping.
over it.
I
So
don't.
what
I don't
part
want
are they
Black
going to
Panther.
offer him? You don't want Black Panther 3?
No, I didn't like Black Panther 2. I didn't like. I just didn't.
Yeah, but what if we get Black Panther? Are we going to get some Black Panther
No,
in this Black Panther movie? You know,
no.
I don't love the sister. I like the sister up until that movie. I always thought she was a great character up until that movie.
Look, you don't have the
Um,
room. The whole thing with the comics, the reason why we're all about comics is that you have the room. When Thunderbolts comes out, every 10 seconds they have to say, "Who are you again? You're this guy from that thing? Oh, that's from that thing." Because we never leave it. So
yeah,
you can have 60 issues of Black Panther, T'Challa, and then it goes to Shuri because you already had 5 years and you had 15, 20 years prior. You had 25 years of T'Challa, and then you have
no.
a couple Shuris, and
Who do
then
you
it's
think
good.
played Shuri in the deleted scene from Avengers: Age of Ultron?
Oh, I don't know.
Because
I don't think I
remember
knew
she's
that.
in the trailer.
No, I
She's
don't
like
remember
she's
that.
like coming up out of a bath or something. It's like a behind shot, or she's coming up. I think a robe's hanging off of her.
Is that real? I don't remember that.
Yeah, that's in the Avengers: Age of Ultron trailer.
Hmm.
You're like, oh, cool, Black Panther's sister. You know,
I don't know that.
I don't know. Yeah, neat.
You sure that's not a what'd you call it? Mandalorian effect?
Mandalorian effect, where your brain creates something that wasn't there. No, no, that's facts. That's fact, Jack.
Hashtag Vex.
Who? Maybe it was her. Maybe it's early Jocasta.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I guess.
Well, because they reference Wakanda all throughout that movie, and they get the vibranium from Wakanda. So
Right.
Wakanda is very heavily in that movie, except we don't see it.
Right. Yeah, you see
We
Claw. You're
we see
talking about
Claw.
that. Right.
Dude,
You
what a
kill
waste
Claw.
to kill him, by the way, in Black Panther 1. Like
Yeah.
Andy Serkis, he was awesome looking. He looked so cool. Claw never looked cooler than being played by Andy Serkis.
Yeah, I would have liked the
The red
outfit
tight
though.
suit. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I would like the outfit. I think
See
that
them, see them circus buns
yeah,
jiggling around. He's like, I made a sound.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what I want from. I don't know. And I like
Well,
Ryan. Listen, I like Ryan Coogler a lot. I just think that Creed one's fantastic. Creed two is okay. Creed three is actually
he didn't
a
direct those things.
reset. I know, but his brother like wrote him basically. But the guy who did Creed two is the same guy who did Rise of the Beast. I want to say it's that. And he's like a really good like just franchise player. I feel like he's
No,
just a very capable.
he was out
Promotes it
there
very well. He
promoting
promotes.
Peter
Yeah.
Cullen. Like he was like pimping Peter Cullen out. He's like, this Peter Cullen's the best. Everyone worships Peter. Peter Cullen's the voice of Optimus Prime, everyone, if you don't know.
Mm.
And he
Oh,
is
yeah,
incredible.
we started talking about that. We have to start like dropping in as we do a point and then we just keep moving and no one knows what we're talking
We
about.
do. Like we still
So
haven't got to talk about who should Denzel play in Black Panther 3.
I don't want the movie at all. No.
And hopefully we get like his son aged, I
Here's
guess.
yeah. Here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
And this is not discount. This is actually complimenting the Black Panther movies. They already filled up the five, like basically like the Wakanda five families, right? They already did it in the first one. That was a Christopher Priest concept with Texiera. Got the guy with the big ears. You got all the families. You got the
You got plate face.
like
You got
it's they did so much stuff. They did so much world building in the first one. Like think about how much is in that first one. It's kind of mind boggling. There's so much stuff in that
yeah.
first one. You got Forrest Whitaker in that. That's what I would say that he would play like an elder. He would play like his dad, but that or I guess he could be a lost uncle, right? I guess that's what you're gonna do. Lost
Another.
uncle. Well, but they do a good job with having the original Black Panther in the first scene. You know what I mean? Like that's and then that's his dad. It gets like it's they do a good
T'Chaka.
job of that. So right, exactly. So I don't think that's you're going to be like T'Chaka too. Like I don't know. Like I don't know. That's the only thing you can really do. You're going to put him in a lineage character, really.
Yeah, boring. But
Right.
I can't think of someone else from the play.
But you have to put
He could
someone
be
in.
like He could be like the Lost King, like he gave up his kingship and
Well,
lives.
who decided that Angela Bassett was out? That she's like, I'm gonna, no, I don't want to do this anymore. Did she decide it? Like, I don't know how that worked.
I don't know. Did they decide like they just want to kill her, or did she like? I don't think
You're
she
gonna
wanted
take out a
out.
senior player? No, you're gonna take out like one of the most concepted senior players. It's a bad idea. Bad idea. No, bring her back.
It's
She,
just a
she
reason for
didn't really
Shuri to
drown. She was
be.
just kidding. Yeah,
I'm
it was
just
a character
kidding.
motivation. I'm just
Yeah.
kidding. I don't know. I didn't want that. So I don't know. I don't like that movie. I only saw it once. I don't think I ever want to watch it again. I think I'm good. I was watching something earlier and I was like, I've seen this a bunch of times. I watched something yesterday. I watched a bunch of times. I feel like a lot of these more I can't watch them again.
But I did love Namor.
No more?
Namor. It was an interesting move to make him like Aztec culture. All right, yeah, I see you don't want to go with like Roman. I guess Aquaman took all the air out of the room or all the water out of the room, I guess, so to speak.
Water out of the room.
I think it was you and I talking about how like Atlantis seemed very small in the Marvel
Mm-hmm.
universe.
Yeah.
DC, huge thriving city, multicultural
The first
types of fish
Aquaman
people.
movie, they go to like 7 worlds.
Yes.
I was laughing. I know Sophia was like laughing at me because I slapped my arm because they went to like the center of the earth and then there's like I was like, what are you doing? Like I remember just cracking up every time they did something extra in Aquaman. I'm like, man, it's just in case they don't do Aquaman 2. And maybe that would have been. I'm gonna, you know what? Maybe I should do that. Maybe I should just delineate. There was only one Aquaman movie, right? It's good.
You're
Like
not
that's it.
wrong.
You know, uh, I don't know.
So yeah,
So who do you think he should play, or do you, like there's just nothing?
I cannot think of a person at this moment. I can't think of
I feel
an
like they
elder.
slotted everybody.
Is there someone they could age up to be a new elder statesman? I don't know. Could he? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Now, okay, so we're gonna finish news on Star Wars corner,
All right.
and I'm gonna try to be. I'm gonna be very optimistic about this, but I feel like you fool me once, you fool me 100 times with this Disney Star Wars, right? But Skeleton Crew trailers look good. They did a director's roundtable video this morning. I knew you were on a trip, you didn't watch it. It's 11 minutes. I didn't realize how many people are directing this show. So listen to this. This is
All right.
just like it's a murderer's row of directors, period. Right. So you got John Watts, did all the Spider-Man movies, did Cop Car. I didn't know this. David Lowery's doing. He did The Green Knight, which is excellent. Bryce Dallas Howard's doing at least one episode, which I didn't realize she did
Jeez.
one episode of Mandalorian. She also directed an episode of the one of the cartoon ones, not the Bad Batch, but like I think the other one, the Lost Tales, I think.
Oh yeah.
Um,
She
but
only did
she's
one
just in
episode
it.
of Mandalorian.
She did she did four.
Yeah, I was
So
gonna say, and they're good episodes from what I
this is
remember.
interesting. Well, she did the Cara Dune episode. She did the intro, the first episode with Katie Sackhoff coming in to the
Right.
universe,
Good.
right? The third season, I forget what she did, but she did the Book of Boba Fett Return of the Mandalorian episode, which I think was just the Mandalorian season three #1. Like, I mean, that's what I
Oh
mean because they
yes.
retooled it, like they retooled like because there's no Boba Fett in that, it's
Yeah.
Boba Fett in the bathtub. I think he was in his bacta tank. I think if they even had that, I don't know, but that was an excellent. That might have been one of the best Mandalorian episodes. It's not in the Mandalorian. It's like but it's like I don't know what you would even call it. Trying to think what a comic book would be like that. It'd be like it wasn't that. Oh, it would have been like the Stargirl special, which was not JSA 12. You're going to cap off
Yeah.
Jeff Johns' career of 20 years of JSA tales. So he just does a Stargirl. Just make it a Stargirl special. You didn't wrap up any storyline. You just dropped
No,
them all.
you didn't. You.
But okay, so Bryce Dallas Howard, Jake Schreier, who did Beef, and he's going to be doing Thunderbolts. Excellent, Beef's excellent. He did the majority of that,
Yeah.
and I'm not sure if this was related or maybe he knew Lee Isaac Chung, who did Minari, who Stephen Yun worked with on Minari. He's in Minari, and so I wonder if that was a connection. But he's doing that, and then I can't believe this. Yeah, the Daniels are doing an episode from and they were signed before they won the Oscars,
Huh.
so but I'm just there's so many dildos in that movie. in the Oscar-winning movie. There's so much stuff. There's a guy running around like there was. I can't
Yes,
believe
yes.
it. Disney just has all these people hired. Like I guess John Watts is like, hey, and even the thing too. I do like this that where apparently he had an idea and John Watts is creating it with like one of his like high school friends, and he went to NYU with Jake Schreier and I want to say Lowry as well. So like a lot of these guys just know each other. But the guy he's co-creating the show, he's not. I think he's a writer. But they went to Favreau and asked him, or they kind of pitched it to Favreau, and Favreau calls me. He's like, "Oh, well, how about this? Like, would you like me and Dave to produce it?" And he's like, "Yeah, of course." Like it was like, "What do you mean?" Like I thought you wouldn't even like they visited a set of something. They must have visited a set of maybe Mando 3 or something. He's like, I got this idea of kids and blah blah blah. And they all seem to really be in love with Jude Law, all of them. Well, he's very handsome, but like every director was saying, "Oh my God!" So so Jude Law may like be a constant thread, like maneuvering with all these directors together. That's a killer director lineup. That's kind of
Yeah,
insane.
that is a
That's
really.
crazy.
I didn't realize the show had that much good talent directing it.
I can't. And they got signed. And this is how long this has been in production because they got signed before they won the Everything Everywhere All at Once like Oscar. It was just about to come out and they got signed for this. They were signed a long time ago. But they worked with him on something a while back. So that's really interesting. So I don't know. Maybe we'll have our first like Star Wars dildo in the series. That would be really good. But I guess there's a bunch of kids in that show. It doesn't really work. But
Yeah, it's really
um,
not.
not appropriate.
Mark. It's a
Not
kid
appropriate.
show. It's funny.
Uh,
It is a crazy lineup of directors for what's kind of a kid Star Wars show.
yeah. I mean, listen, Minari is
Like,
a
like if
that's a very heavy Korean
like
drama.
like if these guys did the Acolyte, I'd be like, yeah, this is probably the Acolyte we would have wanted,
Right. 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 Right.
not
Yeah.
what we got.
No. Yeah. This lineup is exactly like every single one of the movies. They all are R-rated things are all inside of that. Except for Bryce. Has Bryce Dallas Howard done anything like full feature directed?
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
No research.
Yeah. I don't know.
Slam. No research.
There we go. We did it again.
It's like the
Well,
Staples button. That was easy.
that
No
was easy.
research.
Sure
So
was
easy
easy.
when you don't do
It's very
research.
easy. It's very easy. So that was it. A big chock full of news. Chock full of news.
Sounds good.
You got any
Well,
other news?
nope. I am fresh back into my home state, so no
Okay.
news for me today.
All right. Well, stay tuned. Well, I guess we'll do
Check
reviews.
in
Check
tomorrow for
in.
reviews. Or
Yeah.
Tuesday for
Tuesday
reviews.
reviews. Reviews
You
day.
you can comment on this on YouTube. Pretty soon you can listen to it at both Spotify and Apple. You
Yeah,
can
we're on
reach out to us.
Spotify now.
You can reach out to us at Awestruck Comics, Gmail for the website,
Oh,
or Twitter, Awestruck
yeah.
Comics.
I have Instagram. I have to start doing things there. That would be good. So, but yeah,
Everyone, thanks for watching.
thanks for watching/listening.